Too Early, Season 4, Episode 7. It's Lonnie.
It's Bree.
It's Nelly.
And we are back with our final episode of the series, Dear Friends series. And we kind of just wanted to have a discussion on Insecure and the final season and just the overall show and how it relates to our lives and our friendships. And we gonna get into this tea because I got some things to say.
Yeah, we couldn't have a Friends series and not talk about Insecure because the things that this show has done, and I don't think people understand the things that it has done for Black women, especially in our age range, and like it was like looking at ourselves on TV like that. Everything is real. Like I don't feel like there's anything that happened in the show that I'm like, girl, that's a stretch, or like that felt like, you know, a lot of times Black women are just depicted as a whole bunch of stuff that we're not. So like just to see a genuine depiction of like the things we go through on a daily basis that wasn't even dealing with men, like even within our friendships, you know, usually Black women characters are connected to a man, which they were to a certain extent, that's part of life, but it was really about the friendships. Like I just appreciate that so much.
Yeah, and I think, you know, this last season literally was just like, this is what Black women friendship looks like. Like, this is it. You wondering? That's it.
Yeah. And I also think that just throughout the show in general, it was just nice to see, like, a full circle moment, especially in that last season of, like, how everyone, like, every single person in that show has grown. Every single relationship, every single friendship has grown. And, like, just, you know, the different dynamics and how they ended in the final season, in the series finale, so...
Well, before we get into that, you know, we have to do our last and final letter to our friends, our last dear friends. So I will go ahead and kick it off since I done brought it up. So my last one is, dear friends, thank you. I think that we have all been going through a lot lately over these last couple years, and I just want to thank you all for continuing to hold me down and just supporting me and just being there for me to lean on, and hopefully that you feel the same way that I do, that I have been there. And if there's any way I can be a better friend, let me know, sis, because that is what we're all about, growth and just being there for each other.
Yeah. Dear friends, we are in this together. Like, never feel like you're alone in any situation. Never feel like that you have to go through anything by yourself. Like, I'm here to support you. I'm here to uplift you. I'm here to, we just need to sit and have a glass of wine and just cry together. Like, I'm here for that too. So, yeah, we in this together, and we, you know, we gonna get through this together. Whatever it is. Ups and downs, all arounds. Yeah.
Yeah. Dear friends, we in prime time. So, let's have fun. Let's enjoy it. So no matter what we're going through, let's really just live life to the best extent possible, because these last 2 years has been kicking our butt. So yeah, prime time, baby.
All right. Now let's get into it. Okay, let's get into the real tea of Insecure. And I feel like I want to start off with like a fun question. What character do you all identify with the most, and why? That's how we start.
I feel like I'm a Kelly girl.
Really?
Yeah. Even though, like, I can't say that Kelly is my favorite character, I feel like Kelly is me at the same time. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Kelly just, she the most, like, obnoxious one. Like, she just say whatever she want to say. She kind of do whatever she want to do.
She be in her own world.
Yeah,
she do.
Like, she really just, she be to her own path.
And
I can't say that I am getting high at a festival and getting kicked out. I don't know that far, but I definitely feel like me and Kelly be here.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Only like, of course, this is not a direct comparison. It's not like, oh, yeah, it's spot on. But like, I could see like definitely personality traits that are similar.
Yeah, and I think that Kelly is like really good with being there for her friends regardless too. And I feel like you're definitely like that friend.
Kelly a little more raunchy than you.
Yeah,
for sure.
Raunchy.
For sure.
Rough around the edges.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm right, Mommy?
I don't know. I feel like I identify with Issa in the sense that, like, you know, she went through that whole journey of, like, discovering herself and, like, especially, like, with her career and figuring out what she wanted to do and being in different relationships and long-term relationships and things like that. And, you know, her and Molly's relationship, you know, I kind of have, like, that same friendship dynamic with Pep.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of identify with Issa in that sense, but I also kind of identify with Molly a little bit. Just because I feel like I'm more of, like, that serious, like, type of, like, logical, rational type of friend. So, I don't know. It's a mix.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, for me, I'm saying I don't know. I'm like thinking about you and your personality traits and like Issa and Molly, and I can see a little bit of both, but I think you're more reserved than both of them in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're just a little more calm. Like
Yeah.
you would be like a tone down
Yeah.
from like them. But for me, I don't know. I feel like I feel like I have a little bit of all of them, but in terms of like lifestyle, I guess I would be like Tiffany. Like
I can see
yeah,
that.
like
Really?
I say that because I feel like I tried to separate Tiffany from Amanda Seales, which is really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I just think about Tiffany and like I feel like I put that pressure on myself that she does, like, you know, always having to feel like you're together. So I really appreciated that season where they let her go through like postpartum and like just like letting her be a human, because I feel like she was not humanized in the first couple seasons purposely to get her to that point. But definitely I have some, you know, some Tiffany, and then I also feel like I have some Molly in me.
I would have given you straight Molly.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Because Molly is the same way. She wants to be put together all the time. Like, she gives that. And then she also went through, like, the whole just breakdown of not being perfect and the whole, like, job thing and all of that. So, yeah, I would have given you Molly.
I didn't say all Molly because I just felt like I didn't appreciate Molly as a friend sometimes. And I feel like I pride myself on being a good friend. And I just felt like there was, I think season 4 probably, I was just like, Molly, you're trying it, girl. Like, yeah. And that's where she lost me. Like, beforehand, yes, I would have been like, Molly, like, you know, that's my girl. But then she started, you know, showing her true colors a little bit, and I didn't like that.
Yeah, and I also feel like I definitely do think that you more so resemble Tiffany as far as like lifestyle, like you said, and she's more like a family person. Like, and I know this kind of like, you know, what you identify with and what you kind of envision yourself as being like once you get older, a little bit older, and like married and everything. So yeah, I definitely think that Tiffany.
Yeah, no,
like,
and that too. Like I see myself as like everybody else still living life, and I'm married and like got some babies or something. Like I definitely see that part. But yeah, so now that we know what characters, how do y'all feel? I mean, Insecure is over, which is very sad, and I feel like it wasn't necessary for them to end it. But you know,
what was y'all biggest lesson from Insecure? Or even just from this last season?
I think, I want to say it was the last scene in the series finale with Issa. And it was, I forget exactly what she said, but it was something to the point of you have to like actually believe in yourself to actually do it. And I think I have like a lot of like insecurities when it, no pun intended. I have a lot of insecurities when it comes to that because like I want to do so many things, but it's just the simple fact that sometimes I don't believe that I can do it, and I have to like kind of believe myself first before I can even go out there and believe that I can do it. So I think that scene with Issa was really like powerful in a sense because she went through that whole journey of, like I said, finding herself, who she really wanted to be, what she really wanted to do, and who she really wanted to be with, and like her love life too. So that was like the biggest lesson for me.
For me, it was everything is going to work itself out. I think that at the beginning we saw Issa and her life was all over the place. Like, she wasn't happy, and like, just seeing that everybody goes through those phases. Like, you're gonna go through that phase where you're not sure if you're doing what's right, or you're not sure if you're in the career you're supposed to be, or like with the person you're supposed to be. But like, at the end of the day, you have to go through that to get to where you want to be. Like, life is meant to have its ups and downs, and just seeing it on screen, I feel like put it in perspective that everybody goes through it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like with social media especially, like, everyone is just seeing everyone's highlights. But behind the phones, like, everybody is dealing with stuff that you would never think about, or you would never ever know. So it's just really important to just understand that, like, that's all a part of life. Like, everything is going to be all over the place at some point.
I think mine would be remembering your foundation and like your values, and then building off of that for every part of your life. Like choosing friends, building friendships, choosing career, choosing relationships. It's just like remembering who you are, what you stand for, what you care about, and never losing sight of that. And yeah, so that was big for me, especially in season 5.
Oh yeah.
So what did you all get out of, I guess, like, the friendship dynamic? So we know there's Tiffany, Kelly, Issa, Molly. Of course, Tiffany and Kelly are a lot closer. And then there's Molly and Issa, who are like besties. And I feel like that is very representative of a lot of friend groups. Like, you know, you kind of have those people who are closer, and then, but there's one big group at the end of the day. So how do y'all feel about their friendship dynamics?
I was gonna say, I really appreciated that they did show that separation, because that is very common, especially in groups of 4. Like, and it's natural. It's not anything that has to be like talked about, or like, you know, has to be corrected or anything. Like, that's natural. You gravitate towards different people. But at the end of the day, y'all should still be able to come together and kiki ha and support each other. And so that I really appreciated about their friendship.
Yeah, and I also appreciated how in the series finale, I want to say it was the last episode, how they still made it a thing to show up for everyone's birthdays.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, because
I got a bone to pick.
we gotta talk about it.
I have a bone to pick. Because Tiffany did not come to Issa's birthday.
Oh yeah,
And
I didn't notice that.
I noticed it because they made it. It was.
I did not notice.
They were
that.
supposed to travel in for everybody's birthday, and I'm mad it's over now because we will never know.
Right.
But yeah, Tiffany was not at Issa's birthday.
I did not notice that.
And I was like,
And are we supposed to assume it's because she was pregnant and she couldn't travel or something?
No, because her birthday was after Issa's, and she wasn't pregnant then.
Oh.
She was pregnant at Molly's wedding.
Right, and I was trying to backtrack, but yeah.
Yeah, no. This girl was dead wrong.
I mean, yeah.
But I don't know if it was done purposely, or like, you know, it might have been something with production and she just didn't make the scene or something.
But they need to explain something.
But no, I also feel like that is real too in a lot of friend groups. Like, you're gonna have those people who, like, as a group you all are friends, but you have those people who just will never be as close. And I feel like that's what I'm pulling from it, just like based on my analysis. But I think that's real too. Like, you do kind of have that, always like a couple people who just aren't as close in a big friend group like that. Like, especially like 4 or 5 people. Like, you know, there's always somebody who just ain't, we not on the same
Ain't
page.
clicking. Yeah.
I think that Tiffany not demeaned Issa a lot, but like, I don't know how to explain it.
I know what you're like.
Like, I don't know. I feel like Tiffany always felt like Issa was very much so lesser than.
Like a child.
Like, very shady towards her. Like, but honestly, so, because I always felt like of that kind of across the board, especially in reference to like Issa's style. A lot of, and it wasn't just like Tiffany more so, but Molly had a few times when I was just like, if y'all don't let this girl dress how she want to dress, like in the episode when they had the girls' night and they were getting dressed for dinner, I was gonna say Amanda. See, I can't say right. Tiffany was like, she was like, oh, Issa, those shoes are actually cute. Like,
Like, girl, what you like?
Or when they got robbed and Issa was like, "Why didn't you take my shoes?"
Robbery scene, I almost fell out. That robbery scene was hilarious. I said, "What is happening right now?"
See, that's what happens when you try to let people back into the friend
For
group.
real.
That's why you don't let new people into the friend
That's why you
group.
keep me rekindling sometimes because it be looking crazy.
That's the lesson there.
Maybe they didn't even really like the girl.
They didn't.
That was
They
really the
didn't.
whole kill. They was trying to force it in there.
But yeah, no, I definitely see what you're saying. But I also feel like that's very real too. Like,
Yeah.
there's always just kind of like the shady person. And does that translate to hate? Like, not hate, where like, if you know, jealousy or envy or like, because sometimes when you get to those friendships when you're really close, you kind of just like, oh, that's just how that person is. And like, when do you get to that point?
Right.
To where like,
I do think it's something that should be addressed. Like, if you feel like somebody's always attacking you and that's supposed to be your friend, even if, you know, y'all not the closest thing, it should be addressed.
Yeah. Especially if y'all all in the same friend group and y'all always gonna be around each other. Like,
Yeah.
But I feel like I agree with y'all, but then I also understand why people wouldn't, because it does mess up the friend dynamic. And like, even us three looking at our situation, like, once you address that, you have to be willing to accept the consequences from that as well. Like, okay, Issa addresses Tiffany and then, you know, they get into it and they just decide, you know what, maybe we're better off as not friends, and that messes up the entire group dynamic.
or like even if they don't fall out, I feel like in a friend group, everybody has their own personality for a reason, and it balances out the dynamic of the friend group. So I'm not saying that it's okay for her to be shady, but if that's her personality,
Right.
and say Issa just doesn't, you know, feel some type of way about it, or she's not offended by it, I feel like that's what makes the friend group like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it makes
That's the identity.
yeah, it's the identity of the
Yeah.
friend group, and it makes it, you know, different.
What the point that I was trying to make was like, once you talk about it, like, you have to be willing to like, that's when you get to like, am I going to just accept this person for who they are, or I'm going to address it? Like, can I live with it? And sometimes we choose to live with things in friendships, and sometimes I've seen it go both ways, to where like, you kind of just like, that person is who they are or whatever, and then I've been in a situation where I'm like, yeah, I can't take that, like, I can't deal with that.
Because I feel like at some point they're going to say something that hit below the belt, and you're going to be feeling
That's
something. Or
true.
even if it's not below the belt, but you're just not feeling, you know, yourself that day, or like you feeling a little extra sensitive or something, and then it's going to blow up. So I also feel like they should know boundaries. Like, you know, we can joke, but know your boundaries.
You should pick up on those cues of like, oh, they're not having a good
Which
day
is something
today.
I feel like Tiffany did. Like, I don't feel like she ever went too far.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I need to rewatch it from the beginning. Like, now that I know how it ends, you know,
Right.
sometimes you gotta look back at it. But I think like that's a good segue into like even Molly and Issa's falling out, because there were a lot of things said that were below the belt within their falling out, and they still were able to come back together and make it work. And same thing with Tiffany and Kelly. They had their falling out too. I mean, of course, Issa and Molly's was more highlighted because they're more the main characters. But do y'all feel like y'all would have been able to come back from those situations?
I think so. I think it was important for them to have like that time apart. It'd be different if like they got into it and then try to rekindle it like a week later.
Right.
Because I feel like it was so deep to the point where they needed that time apart to really grow and work on themselves and really like reevaluate their friendship, whether they wanted to rekindle it or not. So I think if I were in that same situation with like my best friend and like we got into it, I would definitely need like some good time apart to really just evaluate everything.
I definitely feel like Issa was like Molly's, and vice versa. Like, that was her friend turned family. Like, and we saw that even with her dealing, her mom in the hospital and stuff. Like, Issa was that friend that was there for her through that entire thing. But Yeah, I don't know. I see where you're coming from, but like some things, some situations, just is like that's who you are as a person, and that is what's hard for me to get over. Like even the whole Andrew thing, like Molly like not wanting to ask Andrew to help Issa is weird to me.
Yeah.
Like that's supposed to be your best friend, and she's trying to get her business off the ground, and you're telling her you can support her, but you can't ask. Now Issa was wrong for going behind her back. But yeah, like that to me just left a bad taste in my mouth. Like, why couldn't you do that for your friend?
Yeah, it's like
But
at least ask.
To go against your point a little bit, Molly did change as a person in the end. Like that Molly ain't the same Molly we saw and see like by the end of season 5. So it was like, wow, I wouldn't be able to rekindle with that same Molly. I could see how he was able to rekindle with a new Molly who had gone and done some reflection and growth and all of that kind of stuff on both sides. But.
Yeah, that's why I said I think it was important to highlight that they had that time apart and like highlight how much Molly changed and also how much Issa changed because it's not like Issa was the same person when she rekindled with Molly. I think they definitely both went through like that growth period of reevaluating their friendship and themselves.
But when did they actually, because even at the beginning of season 5, they were still very awkward. Like
it was at the reunion that they really kind of finally
like got back.
Together,
because I was even thinking back to the, you know, when Molly accidentally texted Issa and was like, pretty much like, I'm ready for them to go, or like, I'm really trying here, but blah, blah, blah. Like, even that, like, why you being shady, girl? Like, that to me is just like, there was a lot of stuff that, and I'm not saying never, but like that definitely takes a lot of work.
I feel like I probably wouldn't be the same. Like it wouldn't be the same relationship. I wouldn't be able to bounce back to what we were before. Will we be close in a different way? Yes, but
I mean, but do y'all think that after they rekindled their friendship, do you think that they were close as they were before? Like it was the same friendship dynamic, or was it slightly different?
I don't know, because the ending scene, like they were like the true love story.
Like, and they were back.
But I think that's when you get the difference between like a sister. Like, you know, like Molly was really Issa's sister at the end of the day. So I think that's when you get that separation. Like maybe their friendship ended, but then it's like their sisterhood was just beginning. Yeah. Which is crazy to think about, but that's how life really works. Like, you know, once you look back and you be like, that's not even my friend. Like, that's my sister. Like, it is what it is. I don't know. It's all very, it's very confusing and it's very hard to navigate. Yeah. Because then you think that, like, who your relationships are with, like, you think that those are going to be forever. And then you think, like, oh, this person is going to be here for me. Like, and then all of a sudden the world shakes up and you back at square one and you don't know what to believe.
Yeah, that's hard. And that was a great depiction of the whole situation because they ain't skip over the awkward phases. They ain't try to make it seem like they was, you know, right back at it or not right back at it. Like, we got to see all the emotions through that. So.
But we also don't, like, I mean, because it's a show, like, we don't know how many years, like, are ever like, in between that. Because, like, was Molly and Issa, like, were they not talking for a year? Was it, like, was that over a span of 2-3 years? Like, how does that, you know?
And one thing I didn't really feel like I wanted to see more of was how the rest of the group played a role in their rekindling. Like, we saw it a little bit, but I don't feel like we saw it enough to really like depict like a real situation. Because I feel like the other friends do have a lot of influence on how close or not close. Like, are they encouraging it? Are they just like let them figure it out? Like, how does that work?
And I think like in their situation, they just couldn't avoid each other. Like. There were situations where, like, you know, baby showers or your events and birthday parties, like, are you not going to be there for your other friends because you're beefing with one? And they couldn't avoid each other. So it's just like either we going to come to the conclusion that we just going to be associates or we're going to try to fix our relationship.
But one other thing, I feel like Molly grew closer to Kelly and Tiff when they separated than Issa did. Because, like, Kelly and Molly kind of connected over like career stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Molly and Tiff maybe not so much, but then Issa and Tiff didn't like really connect over anything. And Issa and Kelly, I mean, Kelly just cool with everybody. So it was like Issa really was out here on this island by herself while Molly was still, you know, kind of connected with the group. So I thought that was kind of sad.
But I think that's what happens, because even when you look at friend groups, like there's always like the glue to the group, and it's usually one person who is just either introduced everyone or kind of like started the friend group. So like you have that one person, and like I'm not sure who that person was. Like maybe was it Molly? I don't know.
I don't think it was Molly,
because I think so. I would say Tiffany and Issa were the furthest, and then you have Kelly and Molly in the middle.
I want to say it was Kelly. Yeah, I think it was Kelly.
Cause I don't know who else I would choose. Cause the rest of them really weren't the glue.
Cause I feel like Kelly also had her individual relationships with everyone.
Like she made it a point.
Yeah, she was like the middleman. Like even though she was still like really close to Tiffany, she had her separate relationship with Molly. She had her separate relationship with Issa. They were still close, but not as close as her and Tiffany. But she was still like kind of like the glue that was keeping everyone together.
So then, how do you all feel about Tiffany and Kelly's falling out?
Honestly, I don't remember it as much.
I was gonna say,
but
I mean, it wasn't. Of course, it wasn't Molly and Issa's where it was a whole season.
Right.
It was a couple episodes. So pretty much, this was when Tiffany was pregnant, and she didn't make. Kelly.
Yes.
I think originally she didn't like ask her to be the godmother or something along those lines. And like just during her pregnancy, she just had all these other mom friends, and Kelly was just feeling left out.
I didn't feel like a specific way about it. I could definitely see where Kelly was coming from. Like, your best friend having a baby, you having a baby. Like, you know, you want to be as involved as much involved as possible, but it's also very realistic that she's gonna go find mothers to you know relate with, and you might not always get the first call when it's related to the child or pregnancy or whatever. So I don't know. I don't think either of them were wrong. Either of them were right. I think they were respective to their feelings, but
I also think I wouldn't say that Kelly was like super duper upset. Like her feelings weren't valid. I think that, she was definitely upset, but I also think it was just a matter of like life dynamics were happening. Like life changes were happening, and I think neither one of them knew how to navigate that big monumental life moment, because like having a child, like that's life changing. I think that it was just life-changing moments that were going on, and neither one of them knew how to navigate it. And I think just emotions got intertwined with that whole situation.
Now with that, I have a question, because one of the issues was like, just being involved. Like you said, if your best friend's having a baby, you having a baby. How do y'all feel about the whole godmother thing? Like, do you feel like, as a best friend, I'm entitled to that role? Or like, is that an expectation? Or how do y'all feel about if you're best friends, and then like, who would be the godmother of your children now? Y'all don't have to name drop. So, like, no.
I feel like my perspective about godmother has changed since I became a godmother. I do not think that I anymore would be offended about like my best friend not choosing me as a godmother, just because if you're really choosing someone as a godparent, you should really know that they are going to be able to support you when you need the support for your child. Like, through whatever, whether y'all relationship not gonna be okay, like your child's still gonna be okay with that person, or they're gonna still maintain that relationship. So I know I'm gonna have to pray on it, and my children may have two godmothers. Like, that's just what it is. But I know it's not gonna be something that I consider lightly. Like, sorry, but if I don't feel like your relationship with God, if I don't feel like, even just where you are in your life, if I don't feel like I can call you and be like, this child need to come with you for the weekend, like if I don't feel like I can do that, I'm probably not going to choose you as a godparent. But not everybody chooses godparents like that, so.
Yeah. No, well, I definitely have two godmothers, which I you know, that is what it is. I don't think it's a certain amount of number of godparents that you have to have. But I also, my perspective also changed. I feel like, so I have 2 godchildren, and my first godchild is one of my best friends. Like, and I did feel entitled. Like, I did feel like, oh, well, like, I'm an automatic godmother. Like, I felt that way, and it was kind of just like, she felt the same way. But looking back, I was in my, 2nd or 3rd year of college. Like, you know, realistically, had something happen to her at that point, I could have made something shake, but, like, that wouldn't have been ideal. But now, my godson, who is 5 months, like, I know now, like, I have a house, like, I have the financial stability, like, God forbid something ever happened to his mom, I know without a doubt, like, I could support her and support him and etc. So I definitely have a different perspective on it, and I definitely don't think people should feel any type of way if someone doesn't ask you to be their child's godmother, because like at the end of the day you can still be an auntie and you can still be there for the child in any capacity that you want to be. Like, you don't have to have a title for you to be there for my child. And like, and if you feel that way, that's weird to me. Like, what do you mean? Like, because I didn't make you the godmother, you're not gonna come to their birthday party, or like you not, you know, not gonna get them nothing.
Not gonna pick them up on the weekend sometimes.
Yeah. So I think there are definitely murky waters, and like some people are very sensitive to that. But you just gotta do what's best for your child at the end of the day. And if that person is really want to be a part of the child's life, they will be.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Like, I don't feel obligated to be, you know, my best friend's godmother. My best friend's child's godmother. Like, I don't have that obligation. Like, yes, we're best friends, like, but I'm not about to sit here and say, well, if I'm not your child's godmother, like, our friendship is going to change, or like, you should. No, I'm not that type of person, and I feel like I will still hold some type of importance in the child's life, whether I'm the godmother or not. Like, I'm gonna still be there for the child. I'm gonna still be there for her, support her in anything that she needs. And I don't want her to feel like she's obligated to be the godmother of my child. Like,
yeah, that was my follow-up question. Question, like, if somebody makes you the godmother of their child, do you feel obligated to do the reverse?
No, I don't feel obligated, because, you know, for me, it all depends on the situation and the time of when I would have my child and when she would have her child. Like, if I feel like at the time of having my child and you're not in the space that I know that you don't want to be in, as far as financially, as far as, you know, just stability overall, I'm not going to put that burden on you of making you my child's godmother when I know that you have other stuff going on and other stuff that you need to focus on and figure out first in your personal life. I'm not going to put that burden on you.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Like, no.
Because ultimately, if I put that burden on you, that means I'm putting that burden on my child. And that's not what I want to do.
Yeah, I can't remember if Tiffany actually gave her the title of godmother, but I know that Kelly was showing up for that little girl. Okay?
But she wasn't, and so she was like my godbaby.
Okay, so she did end up being the godmother, but I was like, regardless, Kelly was showing up for that little girl. Okay, that was her child.
Period.
She was dressing alike.
As it should be. Yeah, no, she wasn't playing.
So, I know we talk about friends, but we can't talk about Insecure
without talking about the men.
Yeah, we can't talk about it without talking about Lawrence and Nathan.
I'm Team Nathan. I'm putting that out there right now. I'm sorry. I'm Team Nathan. I'm sorry.
I have always been Team Lawrence, but I also think I am Team Lawrence because of just like knowing, like, I'm in a relationship where we were together and it didn't work out, and then we got back together and it worked out. I mean, we ain't had no break babies or nothing like that. I mean, it wasn't a cheating situation. But, like, I think I kind of related to that, like, in, like, feeling those growing pains. And, like, that's real. Like, the person I was at the beginning of our relationship is not the person who I am now. And the person I am now is more suited to be in this relationship. So, I felt the feels on that 100%. Now, then, when you put the baby into it and cheating, like, that's...
But you cannot blame him because they weren't together.
They weren't.
So
like...
But it's also, like... I just don't know if I was Issa, if I would be able to
be a stepmother,
be a stepmother, and like just be in that situation. It's just weird.
Yeah,
it's weird, and especially it's with somebody that like I knew and like I was trying to form a friendship with at one point, like.
But that was crazy because that was really coincidental. It wasn't intentional, but also as Condola, if you found that out, because she found it out pretty early and she just decided to continue on with the relationship. So like in her shoes, would y'all have decided to keep messing with this man? Because I don't think that I would have, especially if I felt like there was a real relationship blooming with Issa.
Yeah, if I felt like, if I knew the depth of Issa and Lawrence's relationship, I don't know that I would have stayed.
Yeah, we just been on a couple dates.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I don't think I would have stayed either, because it's like, like you said, if I would have known the depth of their relationship, then in my mind I would have been like, well, what makes you think that our relationship is even going to work out, because you still are in love with her. And you're like, no.
And that's why everyone hated her. Like, let's be honest. That is why everybody was calling her everything but Condola. Because any sane woman would have just been like, nah, I'm good off this. Like, this is already a messy situation.
Right.
I'm not going to make it more messy. And she made it as messy as it gets. It's crazy.
Yeah, no.
But no, I think I had to ride with Lawrence on this one. Like, I was very happy.
I'm Team Lawrence.
Because I also didn't feel like Nathan was together enough. Like, Issa went through her messy phase, and she was really starting to get and become, like, she was becoming, in the words of Michelle Obama.
Issa was just as messy for just as long as Nathan.
But
had red flags from the beginning.
But I feel like during Issa's messiness phase, she wasn't like invested in a relationship like that. Like during her messy phase, I feel like she was in a relationship with Lawrence, but they were together for a long time.
This last season, Issa was invested in Nathan, and she was still messy.
But I feel like Nathan just wasn't.
He was doing too much.
Yeah, I feel like Nathan wasn't on her. Like, Issa was messy, but she was getting there. Like, she was almost there.
Issa wasn't being toxic. I don't think she was being toxic. Now, she was dealing with some internal stuff, like who she wanted to be.
But I feel like that's normal.
But with him, so first of all, let's go back, because let's not forget that he ghosted her. Let's not forget that. Because of his mental health. That's important, but also communication is important. You don't just ghost somebody like that, because then it had detriment on her mental health as well. So whatever. After he ghosted her, then they come back, they're friends, and then they decide to be together. And then they're about to move in together, and Lawrence confesses his love. Issa did not start that conversation. Lawrence confesses his love, and he get all upset, and on the car ride home he just decide that he can't do this. We were looking at places to live, and
that was my problem.
And all of a sudden, you can't do this.
In Nathan's defense, someone who suffers from bipolar disorder, which is already a mental health thing, cannot put themselves in a situation where they know they are going to constantly be challenged in that area.
That's not how you do it, though. Like,
I agree. He could have handled the situation better, but was he the prime problem of the relationship? I don't think so. Because Issa came with all of the things that were attacking his mental health.
But when you decided to be in that relationship, nobody forced him to be with Issa. I was going to say,
because he knew. He knew about Lawrence before they got together. Like, he knew.
But he didn't know that Lawrence was confessing his feelings.
Issa
never, but also Issa ain't innocent in this, because she had been thinking about Lawrence, having dreams, flashbacks, butt downs, drunk downs.
He didn't know about what's going on her head, though, so you can't use that as reasoning for him to just be
But that always left the door open for Lawrence to come back and have an influence on Issa. I don't personally believe that Issa was fully committed to Nathan.
Okay, I understand that, because I got that same vibe too. But you can't, Nathan, I think Nathan was the culprit.
And let's go back a couple episodes to where this man gets into it with somebody at work and comes home and just decides he needs to get out.
Was he a little unstable?
You just need to move. Like, he didn't say, what would you think? And I felt Issa. Like, I was like, no, she has every right to be upset.
Yeah.
Like, and he tried to make it seem like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. You said what you said.
Yeah, no, I definitely.
But no, for me, it was never him because I knew he wasn't ready to enter, like, to really be committed in that type of relationship. He still had a lot of work to do on his own. And honestly, I think they would have just been fine as friends.
They were great as friends.
But no, Issa messed that up.
Yeah,
she did. I was on her.
She did.
Because I was cracking up laughing because why would she ever start crying? Like, you can't invite him over and then, like, so she did. I think she was using him as a rebound because she was still trying to get over Lawrence, which, you know, that is...
Which is unfair to him.
It is unfair
because she took him as a real serious rebound. Moving in together, girl, if there's a rebound, you shouldn't be thinking about that.
But no, even before that, like, he entered it, like, you had how they got together was messy. Like, she had just left Lawrence. She needed some company, so she invited him over. They did what they did, and then they went to the beach whole party situation, and then there's just all this tension, and she's jealous. So I definitely agree that Issa did have some villain background in their situation, but at the end, Nathan was the villain because
he was.
Why? Why do you feel like you could just break up with her like that and just dropped her off at the front door? It was like
he was.
I think when I first watched it, because I think I watched that back. When I first watched it, I thought he was just saying he was not ready to talk about it that night.
I didn't think it was a breakup at first.
I didn't realize it was a full blown we done right here.
She was kind of just like, well, all right. It was just like a very awkward.
And I also feel like with Issa going into like her career more, I feel like once she got to that point where she was well in her career, making the money that she wanted to make, like really living the life that she wanted to live, I feel like Nathan wouldn't have been able to keep up with that, honestly.
He gives stay-at-home dad.
Yeah. But no, even like in her vision of like when she was like trying to figure out what she was going to do, it just definitely just seemed like she was taking care of him. Like, and that is, I'm not.
And I feel like, especially with his, like,
that lifestyle,
mental health and everything, and like his insecurities in himself, I feel like he definitely would have like regretted Issa a lot, and I think he would have had some type of animosity towards her.
But it was just always Lawrence for Issa, and I think it was just always Lawrence. Like, it really was. When I tell you, when they got back together before she found out Condola was pregnant, like, they were just so happy and just, like, living life. And it was just, like, they were on their road already back to getting together, like, as the new people they had become. So they already knew that part of it worked. Literally, the only reason why they weren't together was because of the baby. And Issa had every right to take her time to figure out if she was willing to be a stepmama. Like, that was it. That was her right. But yeah, I don't understand how you can't be Team Lawrence. I don't know. And visually, them two together just look better because her and Nathan don't look good together.
It wasn't clicking.
They don't.
It wasn't clicking.
So we gonna act like they was cute together.
Anywho, let's transition to the career side. How was y'all feeling about Issa's process? Because I was feeling a little like she's too indecisive. For her to be like, this is my home, I'm standing with my people, I want to be connected to my community. I just felt like it was, I don't know, like some of the decisions should have been a little easier.
I always feel like money plays a part in it. Like, I hate to say it, like, it's some people who are really down with the movement and your passions and et cetera, et cetera. But honestly, money moves this world. Like, you have to be a real player in the game, you have to have the financial ties to, like, be able to do stuff you want to do. So I can understand that. Like, you're getting an opportunity to get millions and millions of dollars or whatever, have investors invest in your company, or you can start like a mom and pop, like a nonprofit versus a corporation. And I think it is something to think about. Like, that's a hard decision. And even looking at the two different lifestyles, like, okay, you can be okay, like kind of well off with your nonprofit and do great things and like be comfortable, or you can have this big company and like really be able to do stuff later on, like pouring back into your community. So I see why she had the tug.
I mean, I see why she had a tug, but I just felt like it was like,
It was too
like with the whole Crenshaw thing.
He blew me.
Why? I don't know. For when she took the proposal and the what is it called? The funders came back and was like, you know, we want to cut a few things. I feel like there should have been more negotiation from her. Like there should have been a bigger fight. Because for one, you say you want to represent this person that's full-blown culture, which you knew that when you stepped into this. Full-blown, you know, hood culture. And then you go to these white people and say, here this is, let me pitch them, let me support them, I'm trying to put my people on. And then you say, oh, but I'm going to let y'all, you know, have a say in what this artist produced. Like, no, if you're going to, you know, support your people, you're going to support your people and you're going to fight for them. So I understood where Crenshaw was coming on that part.
I think, though, you have to be able to, like, that industry and business, you have to be willing to negotiate. Yes, she should have pushed back, because she didn't really push back. She just took the yes. Yeah. You have to negotiate, but for me, what was wrong was, like, Crenshaw wasn't willing to move at all. And I think that, like, he was just, like, F Issa, and, like, if you know, we don't get a deal, we don't get a deal. But he wasn't keeping in mind her situation too. Like I think both of them played a wrong in it, but their situation kind of was just like unnecessary too, because it could have been avoided.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But then he came running back.
Like they always come running back.
Yeah, no, I really just was like him like trying to drag her on social media.
Yeah, that part.
That was just too much, because at the end of the day, like y'all had y'all disagreements, but she still got you that opportunity. And like the way he was making it seem like he ain't do nothing for her. Yeah, and you still did it the way you wanted to, against what she asked you to do. So like I feel like people don't appreciate when people are trying to help them out sometimes, and it's just like, oh, you work for me. Like, without Issa, let's be real, you would not have had that opportunity. And people don't see the backside of the business. And once he had to start seeing the backside of the business, you realize that it's not easy. It's not just, oh, I'm going to make some clothes and throw a show. Like, it's a lot of logistics that go into producing events like that, and negotiations. Like, it's not easy. And somebody says, all right, we give you $5 million, but you got to you got to cut this, this, and this. It's real easy to just be like, okay.
Right. Oh, the one thing I was going to ask is, do y'all feel like Issa not being as confident in herself and is in her career path played a part in her wishy-washiness with like being able to support Crenshaw fully, or, you know, just how she went about the whole situation?
Yeah, I feel like when you get your shot, like you feel like you finally got your shot, you don't know if you want to give that up. Like, that's hard, like, because you have to really understand that, like, if I don't get this opportunity, another one might not be there. Or like, if I give up this opportunity, who's to say when the next one's going to come? And I think that people get so excited, which we can look into like the bigger picture, even with like a lot of these sports players. A lot of them take the first deal, or singers and artists that end up in these jacked up deals is because you're like, oh my gosh, I have a record deal, I have to take it. And you're scared to pass up on it because you don't know if something better is going to come along. So I think that it's kind of hard to trust yourself all the time. And that's what she was having trouble doing.
And I loved that they showed that. Because that's real. Like, just like the whole sports analogy. Like, that's what happens. And more so than not in the black community. Because nobody is there to educate, you know, these young players, these young actresses, singers, whatever, entrepreneurs about their options, having dominion over their art and what they can actually do.
Just negotiating in general. Like, because I feel like, and it's ironic that we're talking about this now, because I feel like I'm going through the same thing now. I was just presented with a possible new job opportunity to get more pay than my current job. So I am like in that indecisive stage because I'm like, I don't want to make the wrong decision and go to this new job because it's a smaller business. So I will have a lot more work and more workload on my, on my plate, but I will be getting paid more. But I also like where I'm working now, but it's just less pay. So I know if I go to this job, I'll have more pay. I can move out. I can do more things financially than I will be able to do now. But I'm like kind of like Issa in that situation because I don't want to lose that opportunity. But I also, don't want to just like say yes to it and just be like, okay, I'm going to just take this salary when I could have negotiated for more and, made a different decision. So I can definitely, identify with that whole dynamic of career choices.
Well, clearly, child, we learned a lot from Insecure. Okay?
And that's why it's so important. And I do say that I think we're getting more shows like this. Like Harlem on Prime with Megan Good. That was really good. Like, and that also is like, she's created a space for shows like that. Like, that's just like Black woman joy. And, even though with the good and the bad, like, there's still joy within it all. Like, you got a love-hate relationship with life, and that is how I feel on a day-to-day basis. Like, sometimes I wake up and I'm completely content with where I am in my life, but other days I wake up and the trees are burning down.
Yeah. Those conversations in the mirror. Them conversations she be having in the mirror, I be like, yeah, this is what I be talking about in my head.
That's what I say. I have those in my hair. I be like, well, and it's just like everything in life is just like so decision based and it's so stressful. Like, even this is like a very dramatic one, but like even deciding to go to like where you go to eat or something like that. Like every decision that you make has consequences, like good or bad. Like, I could go here and then my stomach could be jacked up the rest of the day, or I could just be in the wrong place, wrong time. Like, literally every single decision that you make matters, and it's so stressful.
It is. It really is.
Oh, that's depressing.
Words for the people.
We want to know what y'all think, because we we got 2 Team Lawrences. We still got a team Nathan. We want y'all feedback. But yeah, we've reached the end of another series, and just like Insecure, we is out.
We will not end this episode. No, but yeah, we appreciate y'all for sticking with us, those who made it through this series. And as usual, we're excited for the future and what's to come.
Yeah.
Our next series will be coming out soon.
Yes, so stay tuned.
Dear friends, is a wrap. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.